2011, the SNP won a majority in the devolved parliament. And in that parliament, and in that parliamentary election, the key point is that the election deals with devolved matters. And that's the only matters that are mandatable in an election, a devolved election. In the Scotland Act, it's very clear that you have your list of devolved matters and you have your reserved matters. Now, it played into the hands of the SNP to puff themselves up with this victory in 2011 and to imply that this mandate authorised them to have a referendum on Scotland leaving the Union, but they did no such thing. It was not a valid, a mandatable matter for them. They had the authority to exercise power on health service, education, police, but not on the reserve matters such as the Constitution, or defence, or foreign affairs. But also served the Conservative Party to take this SNP victory and think about how they could use it to favour themselves at the next general election. And so between June 2011 and going into January 2012, the Conservative Party adopted a position where, right, okay, this referendum thing might play to our advantage. So on the 8th of January 2012, David Cameron walked onto the Andrew Marr show and he launched the referendum. Not Alex Salmond, not the SNP, the Conservative Party did it. He launched this referendum, even though there was no constitutional basis for a referendum in our parliamentary democracy. In 2013, the consequence of David Cameron walking onto the programme and launching this was the modification order. And the modification order was the legal piece, the legal measure which allowed the devolved parliament to legally handle the matter of a referendum, which it had legally been prevented from doing. Now, matters of high constitutional importance in the United Kingdom have always been dealt with by the House of Commons sitting as a committee, which means that they go through the legislation line by line, bit by bit, and it can take ages to go through it. Time is of the essence. But they didn't do it with the modification order. And one of the things is a consequence of not exploring and analysing this modification order, the House of Commons. The House of Commons just looked at it in 5 hours. These type of issues are usually dealt with over years, maybe even decades, because they're so serious about the Constitution, these matters. But the House of Commons looked at the modification order in the space of 5 hours. There was no white paper, there was no green paper, there was no bill, there was no dissent in the House of Commons. It was passed in the nod, unanimously. I would argue, the most important piece of legislation was simply nodded through in 5 hours. This measure to allow a referendum, to facilitate a referendum on the United Kingdom. Now, this measure allowed the Scottish Parliament to spend money, to talk about it, and to logistically hold it, to open the schools, that sort of thing. But it didn't authorise or put an authority into the referendum. And the reason it couldn't do that is because only Parliament can hold authority. Only your members of parliament have authority, unless it's coming back to you in an election. So quite simply, the referendum was a big opinion poll. It was a survey. But politicians never learnt that lesson, and they were later to repeat it in the European referendum. In 2014, Alistair Carmichael, the Scottish Secretary, finally conceded that, yes, the notification order did not affect members of Parliament or Westminster constituencies. So basically, the referendum, if it had been a yes, MPs would have started to disengage, MPs from Scotland would have started to disengage from the Union under the pretext of the referendum and the claimed authority of the referendum, but there was no authority in it. It was a big opinion poll. But this didn't serve the Labour or Conservative parties to talk about that too much. They didn't like a light to be shone on that, so they kept it very quiet. And the BBC knew the legal limitations of the referendum in 2014, but they kept it quiet. It spoiled their narrative to start looking into it too much. You might remember they had a countdown clock to the Scottish referendum day, and we were all meant to be excited by the countdown to it and the big decision that was to take place. In 2015, we had what is now a largely forgotten general election, where the Conservatives won about 17 majority. And of course, the Conservative Party in 2015 stood in a manifesto to stay in the European Union. Boris Johnson and Michael Gove were very happy to stand in the manifesto of 2015. We go into 2016. We get into March, and then Boris Johnson and Michael Gove decide to jump ship. Oh, we want to leave. But less than a year before, they were wanting to stay in. We get to June the 3rd, June the 23rd, the day of the referendum. And Theresa May is saying, we've got to stay in. And then the next day, on June the 24th, Theresa May says, we've got to get out. We've got to get out. So much for political integrity there. And then it's good to look very closely at what happens next. David Cameron resigns. And then for 2 or 3 weeks, up to July the 13th, we go through this rather strange period, and people say, what's happening, Stewart? What's happening with the government? It doesn't seem to have a government. We're not quite clear what's happening. And then we get to July the 13th, and mysteriously, Theresa May goes to Buckingham Palace and becomes the Prime Minister. What's happened? There's been no general election since the referendum. She hasn't submitted herself to her constituents in Maidenhead, for she's changed her opinion on Europe. The election of the Conservative Party MPs deciding who's going to be the new leader, that descends into a farce. They either withdraw, or they're defeated, or they just don't bother even participating in it. So there's no election there. She becomes the sole nominee. And the party members, the Conservative Party members, they're not even invited to the show. But on July the 13th, she emerges, unelected, from Buckingham Palace as the Prime Minister. And then we go into the period from July the 13th, 2016, into June the 8th, 2017, where we have Theresa May's government in place. A government no one's elected. New ministers, a new Prime Minister, new ministries, new policies, a new manifesto. Nobody's voted for this. Actually, it's worse than that. You, the electorate, voted for a completely different manifesto in 2015. You voted, whether you like it or not, to stay in the European Union in 2015. But come 2017, without an election, you have a new manifesto and the country's apparently getting out of the European Union. So we have a government no one has elected. In other places you call that a despotic government. And as for Theresa May emerging as Prime Minister, there's a word for that, a phrase for it. It's a coup d'etat. Who elected her? It wasn't the Tory MPs. It wasn't you, the electors. It wasn't even anybody in Maidenhead. So we get into 2017 and the farce continues. Actually, it's starting to settle down a wee bit in Scotland now after the referendum. People are fed up with referendums. They've been through it. They don't want it again. Bad news. About March, Theresa May pops up. She floats a second referendum in the Union. Dear, you can't believe this. You can't believe what the hell she's doing. What's she doing? She's not just shut up and let's get on with health and getting jobs and stuff. No. Why is she doing it? And then Theresa May goes on a walking holiday in Wales and suddenly decides to have a general election. And then we work back. She's most daft as she seems. She's wanting to pump up another referendum because the intelligence is getting back to central office. Electors in Scotland don't want another referendum. So we got to position the Tory party as a apparently unionist party because it will get them votes. And it does. It gets them lots of votes. It gets them over 350,000 votes from places that they never believed they would get them because the working class unionists came out to vote for them because they just didn't want another referendum and they wanted to keep the union together. And so the Tories get an extra 12 seats. That's where they got the 12 seats from. Now, what I spoke about tonight, what I've touched on, is really just the outer casing of the nation state and the condition that this country's in today. It doesn't touch on, I have touched on the moral, inside the nation state, the moral, social and economic disintegration of this country that is taking place. On the moral side, we'll get the retreat of our established church. This country was made, shaped and formed by our Christian religion, and in particular the Church of England and the Church of Scotland. It has informed this country in every single aspect of its being, whether it's its parliamentary democracy, its courts, or its pop music. It's touched everything for the better, I would say. And we're in danger of losing that. Abortion. For 50 years we've now had over 8 million abortions, and there's no politicians of the front order even touching in this, and what that subject does, what that matter does to the character of this country and the demographic shape of this country. On social matters, no one in either the Labour or Conservative Party are dealing with the issue of the push, the drive of women into the workplace, especially mothers. The forces on them to go out to work and leave their children in industrial daycare. Labour and Tory, they're both joined at the hip in that subject and won't deal with it. And then there's our economy. We've went from being a serious national economy based on defence, public infrastructure, heavy industry, and we're now becoming just a big debt recycling unit. Deliveroo, gig economy, Uber. How many jobs can you do a day? How many hours can you spend away from your home and your family and your friends just to work? The cult of work. And this is all because the Labour and Conservative Party have authorised this. They have been the creators of this entire direction for our country over the past 15 years. And I suggest to you that what we need now is a new political formation, a new political party, which will defeat these two parties and marginalise them. A party, a formation that will restore, repair and rebuild this country, not just on the Constitution, but on every other aspect. Thank you.